Sometimes kindness begins in the quietest moments, not with applause, not with a grand speech, but with a soft sentence whispered across a small table, meant for just one broken heart. On a rainy Friday night, in a restaurant filled with laughter and clinking glasses, two strangers sat alone. They had no idea that a single, gentle act of kindness would change both of their lives forever. Before we begin, take a moment to support stories like this. If you enjoy heartfelt stories that remind us how powerful kindness can be, please subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment below. It truly helps the channel grow. Welcome to Kind Choice Corner, where small choices make big differences. The restaurant was one of those modern places downtown, the kind with dim lights, soft music, and menus that tried a little too hard. It was supposed to be perfect for a blind date. Daniel arrived 10 minutes early like he always did. He wore his only decent button-down shirt, freshly ironed, though the collar still felt stiff. He checked his phone, then tucked it back into his pocket. No new messages. Daniel was a single dad of a 7-year-old boy named Leo. Blind dates were rare for him. Between working construction during the day and helping with homework at night, he barely had time to sleep, let alone meet someone new. But his sister had insisted. "You deserve happiness too," she'd said. Across the room, sitting at a corner table by the window, was another man who looked equally out of place. Evelyn Hartwell's name was known across the country. Billionaire CEO, tech visionary, magazine covers, interviews, awards. But no one in the restaurant recognized her tonight, because she wasn't wearing power suits or confidence. She was just a woman in a simple black dress, nervously stirring ice in a glass of water. Evelyn had arrived exactly on time. She always did. Punctuality was one thing she could control. She checked her phone again. Nothing. 5 minutes passed, then 10. She told herself not to care. She told herself she was used to being stood up. People were either intimidated by her success or interested only in it. Tonight was supposed to be different. A blind date arranged by a mutual friend who promised, "He doesn't know who you are." Evelyn had liked that. She had liked it a lot. But here she was, alone, again. Daniel noticed the empty chair across from her when he stood up to ask the waiter for more water. Something about her posture caught his attention. She wasn't angry. She wasn't scrolling her phone dramatically. She just looked tired. He returned to his table, glanced at his own empty chair, and sighed. 30 minutes in, Daniel accepted the truth. His date wasn't coming. He imagined Leo at home, probably building something out of cereal boxes. Leo always waited up for him on nights like this, pretending he wasn't tired. Daniel smiled sadly. That's when he stood up, grabbed his jacket, and passed Evelyn's table on the way out. He stopped. He didn't know why. Maybe it was the rain tapping against the window. Maybe it was the familiar ache of rejection. Or maybe it was simply the human instinct to reach out when you see someone else hurting the same way you are. He leaned slightly toward her and said quietly, almost like a secret, "Your blind date didn't show up either?" Evelyn looked up, surprised. Then she laughed, a real laugh. Soft, a little broken, but genuine. "Guess not," she replied. Daniel nodded. "Mine neither." There was an awkward pause. Then Evelyn gestured to the empty chair across from her. "Well," she said, "since we're both already dressed up and disappointed, want to sit?" Daniel hesitated for half a second. Then he smiled. "Yeah, I'd like that." They didn't order fancy drinks, just coffee. They didn't talk about work at first. They talked about rainstorms and bad parking and how awkward blind dates always seem to be in movies. Slowly, something shifted. Daniel talked about Leo, about learning to braid hair from YouTube, about burning pancakes on Sunday mornings, about how being a dad scared him and saved him at the same time. Evelyn listened, really listened. No one had spoken to her like this in years, without trying to impress her or get something from her. She shared less at first, just that she ran a company, just that she traveled a lot, just that she was tired of being strong all the time. At some point, Daniel noticed her hands were shaking slightly as she lifted her cup. "You okay?" he asked gently. Evelyn swallowed. Do you ever feel lonely even when everyone thinks you have everything? Daniel didn't answer right away. He thought of nights after Leo fell asleep, when the apartment felt too quiet, when the weight of responsibility pressed down on his chest. Yeah, he said, all the time. Something in Evelyn's eyes softened. For 2 hours, the world outside the restaurant disappeared. No titles, no bank accounts, no expectations. Just two people being honest. When the waiter brought the check, Daniel reached for it out of habit. Evelyn smiled. I've got this. Daniel didn't argue. Kindness, he had learned, sometimes meant letting others give. As they stood to leave, Evelyn hesitated. Would you like to do this again sometime? Not as a blind date, just coffee. Daniel grinned. I'd like that. They exchanged numbers and stepped into the rain, walking in opposite directions, both feeling lighter than they had in years. Weeks passed. Daniel thought often about Evelyn, though he didn't expect much. People disappeared from his life all the time. That was just how it went. Then one afternoon his phone rang. Hey, Evelyn said. I was wondering if you and Leo would like to come to the Science Museum this Saturday. Daniel was stunned. You want to meet my son? I do, she said softly. If that's okay. It was more than okay. Evelyn didn't show up in designer clothes or with security. She showed up with snacks, patience, and genuine interest. Leo adored her. Instantly. Over time, Daniel learned the truth about who she was. The billions, the headlines, the influence. But it didn't change how he saw her. And Evelyn learned something too. That kindness didn't need to be strategic or impressive. It could be as simple as noticing someone sitting alone. Months later, at a company event filled with flashing cameras, Evelyn told a quiet story on stage. About a rainy night, about an empty chair, about a single dad who whispered a sentence that reminded her she wasn't invisible. That moment, she said, taught me that kindness doesn't care about status. It only cares about presence. Daniel watched from the side, holding Leo's hand, heart full. Kindness didn't make headlines that night in the restaurant. No one clapped, no one recorded it, but it changed everything. And maybe that's how kindness works best. One whisper, one moment, one choice to see another human being. So the next time you notice someone sitting alone, remember this story. Your kindness might be the beginning of someone else's healing. And sometimes, it might just change your life too.